Gary Antoine Russell versus Alberto Puello, 12 rounds in the 140-pound division. Another great matchup on the Gervonta Davis and Frank Martin card. Let's get into it. Let's start with Russell. 17 wins, no losses, and 17 wins by way of knockout. Gary Antoine Russell, man, he's a very tough fighter, man. He's mean, he's strong, punches with bad intentions. Russell's got a style that people love to watch, man. He isn't afraid to let his hands go. He throws a lot of punches. He comes forward, comes right at you. It's going to be right in front of your face. You know, he's explosive, dynamic, man. Athleticism. You know, he doesn't need a whole lot of space to really load up on his shots. Shots are quick. They're snappy. And every single shot, man, he's looking for that KO knockout type of shot. I think he does have that type of one-shot knockout type of power. When he fought the Iceman, Victor Postal, you know, Postal was coming off of a loss. But at the same time, Postal at one point was one of the tops in the division. And this is a guy who has very good experience in the elite level of fighters. You know, Postal has fought guys like Bud Crawford, Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez. And there's a lot of experience, as I said, against those great quality opposition. And so that was going to be one of those kind of test matches for Gary Antoine Russell to kind of see where he was on the spectrum of things in the division. And he was able to get Victor Postal out of there, stoppage in the 10th round. A little premature stoppage, but you know, I felt like that fight was going to end before the 12th round of their fight, man. He was clipping Postal with big shots. However, at the same time, you know, Gary Antoine Russell, as I said, you know, he's improved in some areas, but we're still looking to see some real improvements from a defensive standpoint because he's there to get hit, man. He doesn't move his head off the line the greatest. And so certain shots he's there to get clipped with. And Postal was having some success in his own right when he was letting his hands go. But to his credit, you know, Gary Antoine Russell, man, he seems to have a very strong chin. You know, he can take a shot, but I don't like that he was willingly walking into shots, but he was returning fire whenever something was thrown at him, you know. So even though he does get hit, he seems to always throw something back to keep his opponent honest and not lose the momentum completely in the fight. But I also felt like if Victor Postal was a bigger puncher, maybe that outcome of that fight would have been a little bit different. But you know, he did seem to be able to withstand the power of Postal, at least at that stage in his career, and wasn't really discouraged by too much by what Victor Postal was doing at the time. Now, move forward to when he fought Francis Barthélemy. And that was a tough fight, man. An exciting fight. Barthélemy at that stage, to that point, I believe he was like 10 years older than Gary Antoine Russell at the time, but he could still fight with the best of them, man. Francis Barthélemy, underrated fighter, man. Barthélemy came out and he was letting his hands fly. I mean, he was letting it fly from everywhere. Over the guard, under the guard, around the guard, man, straight through the middle. That left hand seemed like whenever he threw it, man, he found a home for it when he was fighting Gary Antoine Russell. The thing with Antoine Russell, man, and so far it's worked for him in his favor. He's not going to dodge a fight. He's not going to dodge a fight, man. He's going to be there right in the mix, right in front of your face to take the fight to you, even if you take the fight to him. I think he's got a good jab, an underrated jab, but he's not always consistent with it. You know, Russell is a very good body puncher. And when he was going to the body, man, he was backing Francis Barthélemy up. But I thought Russell was kind of headhunting a little bit too much, man. He was putting everything behind each shot. And when he would miss, it would be a big miss. And Barthélemy would clip him on a counter, right? And he would make him pay, you know. I think it was in the 4th round, if memory serves me correctly, towards like the last 10 seconds of their round, it was kind of the first time that I've seen Gary Antoine Russell's legs like wobble. Barthélemy caught him with the left hand, and the shot was so clean, so crisp, so snappy that you could see Gary Antoine Russell's legs, man. It kind of wobbled a little bit, but then the bell rang and he was able to go back to his corner. That shot, more times than not, would have would have dropped people. You know what I'm saying? It would have changed the whole momentum of the fight. So Gary Antuanne Russell, he is a very tough, solid fighter. And not to mention, man, he was fighting Francis Barthélemy, a two division champ, I believe. Right. So he was making it very tough on the younger man. But then the sixth round came and things got a little bit more interesting, man. Russell is an explosive fighter, as I've mentioned. Very few times, you need a certain level of athleticism and explosiveness to be able to lunge forward and connect on your opponent. Gary Antuanne Russell, man, he lunged forward, hit Barthélemy. Barthélemy didn't even have time to respond. It was so quick. He lunged forward with the right hook that connected, and it dropped Francis Barthélemy, and he was on the canvas. Now, the worst part about that was when Francis Barthélemy got up, the ref didn't really give him the right opportunity to get back into the fight. He just waved it off. Because to me, Barthélemy, yeah, he got knocked to the canvas, but he did look like he was cognizant of where he was, and he got up and he came forward. It didn't seem like he was too much hurt where he could not continue. So, there's a little bit of controversy in that regard, but it was an explosive shot, man. It was a dynamic shot. And that's the type of athleticism and explosiveness that you got to be wary of when you're fighting a guy like Gary Antuanne Russell. But those are the fights that he needs, man. The experience that he's gained and will gain after fighting a skillful fighter like Francis Barthélemy. Like, Barthélemy is no joke. He's given tough fights to all of these cats in the division. Now, in Russell's most recent performance, he fought undefeated fighter at the time, Kent Cruz, and Russell took him out in the first round with a vicious body shot. And that's the thing I like about Gary Antuanne Russell, man, is he goes to the body, and he goes to the body early, and he does not wait for you to bring the fight to him. He's going to bring the fight to you. So we know Russell is going to start quickly. That's what he's going to do. And I think also, outside of the ring, man, I think his brother, Gary Russell Jr., whenever he decides to stop boxing, man, he's really going to excel as a coach because he gives his brother really good feedback when he's in that corner. And I think that is a strength and an asset in his corner that Gary Antuanne Russell has with his older brother right by his side. So there's a lot at stake here for Russell, man. And this is another tough, challenging fight for him that he's going to have to be patient, and he's going to have to make sure that he's locked in because Puello is no joke, and he's going to make it tough and difficult in the ring. And the winner is probably going to get a title shot down the road at some point in this division. So I guess who will it be? Guess we'll find out on the night. But let's talk about his opponent, Alberto Puello. 22 wins, no losses, 10 wins by way of knockout. A lot of people have been asking, man, where is Alberto Puello? What's going on with him? What happened to him? And I'm going to share a little bit of backstory just from what I've read. And I'm sure many of you have read it as well. I felt like Puello was generating some nice momentum in the recent years, right? Came from fighting all of his fights in the Dominican Republic, his home country. His first 19 fights are all at home. First opportunity for him to fight away from home was when he fought Sean D. Owens, I believe it was. In 2021, he did his thing there, got the win. Then after that, he gets an opportunity to fight for the vacant WBA lightweight belt against Batir Akhmadov. And he put forth the performance and the fight of his life, and he was able to get the win, and he became a champion. Shortly after that, news comes out that he gets stripped of his belt and he served a ban because he tested positive for a banned substance. But the more that you dig into what that substance was, it was something to help him and his wife as they were trying to start a family, trying to get his wife pregnant, right? So there was a lot of things that was happening behind the scenes, but because he had proof and had things lined up, the ban was 6 months and not the years that he was going to get originally. Just from my readings, you let me know if you know a little bit more on that. But that's just kind of the backstory, man. But he's back in the ring and looking to get back to the route that he was and get that title once again. Puello against Akhmadov was a very, very good fight. I thought it was an exciting fight, but that was a fight that you could see Puello's full skill set on display. He's a very talented boxer, man. He's got a long reach. He's accurate puncher, man. Good speed, good timing. I don't think he has all that much power per se, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have good pop in his shots. Against Akhmadov, I felt like he built up a nice lead in the early rounds of the fight, right? 3-4 rounds. I feel like he won the first 3-4 rounds. He was going to the body, man. He was punching in combinations. He was fighting off the back foot very nicely, very well. But it seemed like he had a tough time backing up Akhmadov and keeping him off of him. But what I liked about Alberto Puello, what he was doing in that fight, was he kept punching, man, and kept staying busy, even though he was on the back foot. We've seen guys when they're on the back foot, man, they kind of shell up and they lean on the ropes and they get stuck in the corner longer than they need to. But Puello against Akhmadov did a great job of staying busy, even if he was on the back foot, and just doing what he could do to keep Akhmadov honest and to create a little bit of that separation, man. I also think that Puello is elusive in some of his ways and his movements, man. When it comes to the headshots, he knows how to roll with the punches and take some of the steam off of his opponent's power. He moves his body very well. There's a lot to like about Alberto Puello, man. Akhmadov did have some success throughout the fight, and he started going to the body, and he was getting through. He was building momentum in the last couple rounds of the fight, and at the end of the day, Puello went on to win the fight by split decision. And after that fight, his first fight back last year, he fought Victor Madeira in an 8-round fight, and Madeira is an undefeated fighter. Puello didn't have much resistance in that fight, in my opinion. Madeira didn't really seem to want to let his hands go. He was very hesitant, very cautious. But when he did bring the pressure, man, he was able to get through with a couple shots, some nice body shots, some nice overhand shots, but not a whole lot of action from Madeira to really do anything to make it an uncomfortable fight for Puello. It wasn't the most eye-pleasing fight, not the most exciting fight, and a clear victory for Alberto Puello was the result of that fight, So Puello is a very good fighter, man. I think he's going to be a threat to Russell, in my opinion. But the question always is, when you have a pressure fighter, do you have enough power to be able to back him up off of you? And how long can you maneuver when the pressure is on, the volume is on, and the power is apparent to keep him off of you for 12 rounds? Obviously, we'll see on the night. So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/the breakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. The closest thing Alberto Puello has come against from a stylistic standpoint from Gary Antuanne Russell is when he fought Batir Akhmadov. This is an in-your-face type of pressure, except Gary Antuanne Russell, when you're comparing him to Akhmadov, I believe is more athletic. I believe he's more explosive, and he punches harder. However, Russell isn't hard to find either. You know, he's going to be there to get hit. And that's going to be something that we are going to see if there's been improvements on, you know, being more defensively responsible, moving his head off of the line, evading shots, evading punches, you know, and just making sure that he isn't lackadaisical defensively because he's so good offensively. You know, we want to see a more balanced approach of Gary Antuanne Russell. I also feel like Gary Antuanne Russell, man, has fought guys with similar styles to Puello. Obviously, everybody does what they do a little bit differently, but there are some similarities in most fighters that you can say, man, you know, similarly, they can do this. Has this person fought anybody like this before? Obviously, execution on the night is going to come forth, and whoever executes better on the night is going to win the fight. But Gary Antuanne Russell, man, he's fought a similar style like Alberto Puello and Francis Barthélemy. Even though I didn't like some of the shots that Gary Antuanne Russell was taking against Francis Barthélemy, some shots I felt like he could have evaded, you know, it still goes to show, man, he's fought a similar style like that, and he knows how to capitalize on it at the right moment. He had to be patient, but once he was able to land that big shot and drop him, I feel like the momentum was really starting to turn and going to work in the younger man's fighter. You know, and when you have a pressuresome fighter, Gary Antuanne Russell, man, very good conditioning. He can keep that same volume and that same pressure for 12 rounds. You know, I think it's a situation where I think Alberto Puello, I think he'll be fine early, man. I think he'll, you know, be able to keep Gary Antuanne Russell off of him for a little bit, similarly to what he did against Akhmadov. But can he do that for 12 rounds? I don't know. I'm not so sure on that. I'm not so sold on that. When Puello fought Akhmadov and when he fought Madeira, things changed when they were going to the body. When they were going to the body of Alberto Puello, they were able to back him up a little bit, man. They were able to slow him down a little bit. And against Akhmadov, there was some rounds where when Akhmadov went to the body, Puello, man, you could see it was taking a little bit more out of him. And I think Gary Antuanne Russell is a bigger puncher than both of those cats. And I think he's a more vicious body puncher than both of those cats. So it's going to be very interesting, man. Going to be very interesting. We're going to find out where Puello's conditioning is as well, too. You know, going from a 12-round fight back to an 8-round fight after a long layoff, and he didn't really get pushed. He was very comfortable in that fight, and I don't think Gary Antuanne Russell is going to allow him to be comfortable in this fight, and I think he stops him in the championship rounds of the fight. And I think it's the body work that adds up over the rounds. I like Gary Antuanne Russell by late stoppage, but personally, I hope it goes the full rounds in the full length of the fight. I think this going 12 rounds is beneficial for both individuals, in my opinion. Right now, I lean Gary Antuanne Russell to win by stoppage. So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear from you. How do you think this one goes? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. I don't always get to do all the suggested videos you guys suggest in the comment section below, but if you become a member, those suggested videos rise to the top, and I will do my best to get those done for you that week. Or if you'd like to become a member just to show a love and to support the channel, man, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Shout out to all the members holding down the membership section. I appreciate each of you. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this time, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next